Hey there. Getting a little interesting job in the shop tonight. Obviously this one's already complete, but follow along. You'll see the what this started out as. But this is a steering shaft extension for a Chevy truck. Didn't really want to have to remake this inside double D shape feature. So what we did was took another steering joint, cut this all apart, and harvested this bottom just for that piece. And originally it had a shape similar to this. And I didn't really know what this was, what dimensions were from the truck, so all I had to go off was this. Took a few dimensions off of it, drew a model up in the computer, and figured everything out based off the inside. Took that geometry and transferred to the top, and just to double check that everything was what we wanted, I 3D printed a little test plug, and it came out spot on, so it fits nice and snugly in there. So we knew that if we measured off of this side would fit in there. So let's get over to the mill and get this thing done. All right, let's get into this. How do you clamp something that is kind of odd shaped? Not really a good way to grab it. It's not round. It's not square. There's not a whole lot to really go on here. What I'm going to do is, one, is clamping it in the vise vertically, because that's how we've got to machine it. But one thing we can notice is that there's a slot here. If we just put it in the vise and squish it, it's just going to close the slot. First we got to do is get the slot so that it doesn't squeeze. So I'm going to use a gauge block here. And this slot is smushed a little bit because it had been clamped before. So if we put it down here and open the slot, or in the bottom of the slot, it's got a little bit of room. So we're going to use a chisel here and just open this up just ever so slightly so that the gauge block will fit in there. Now we've got something to clamp against and we don't have to worry about this going anywhere. All right, next problem is, if you look at this, there is, you might not be able to see it, but there's a recess. There's a slight counter bore where the bolt went. That's not on this side. And based on measurements, this part, these two walls, or the sides, are parallel to each other and somewhat flat. So there's a flat spot about here. What we're going to do is use a washer that happens to fit right in the hole and is just proud of the surface, and we'll use that to clamp against. We're going to stand this up in the vise, and I don't want it all the way down in there because I've got a machine close to the edge here, and we want to lift it up a little bit. I'll use a Fireball shim. This is a 3/4, but we've got this gap in the middle of the vise, so we'll take a 1-inch parallel, set that down there. Make sure that's clean before we start. Yep. Set the parallel in. So then we can set the Fireball shim on the parallel and set that like that. Does that work? This has got to be a little shorter. It leaves a little bit of good clamping meat above the top here. So let me grab another shim and we'll come back. All right, we've got a 1/2-inch shim there. That's perfect. That uses all of the available height that we have. We'll put the washer in here. Now we will carefully close the vise so the washer doesn't fall out. Slide that down where it needs to go. Snug it up just a little bit so it doesn't move. And then we'll use a lead hammer here to tap that down as we tighten it. And this is going to get snugged pretty tight. Just for S and G's, we'll give it a tap test. Ooh, that's not real. Oh, but it does feel like it's... We're going to use a regular hammer. There we go. That feels better. A little more snug. Shim on the bottom doesn't move, so that's good. Next step, we've got to indicate center on this thing. All right, to get centered on this, we are going to use a wiggly style center finder. These work really well. They're super fast and pretty accurate. They're accurate to about a half thou, depending on how aggressive you are getting it dialed in. The idea of this is that you set this off, it spins around offset. As you come into the part, this will run true, and then once you get on exact center, this will actually kick off. It's kind of a misnomer that these are designed to be run until you get them straight, but they're actually supposed to kick, and that indicates center. I've had some people argue that it's not. The instructions actually say that's how it's supposed to be used, so who am I to argue? Let me get you back in frame here, because we are going to, there we go. Okay, got this set up in here. These like to run, I don't know, I don't mind running them at about 500. I find that if you run them super slow, they're very slow to react, but also if you run them too fast, the little tip there can wing out. So we'll get this turned on, and basically we're going to touch this side. I've got a digital readout, so I will zero that, move it over to the other side, take that number, and there's a half function. You just hit half and it'll get you right to the middle. We'll get that. Then we'll come over and I'll touch this face. I don't want to go on the round part because it could be inconsistent, so we'll go on this face here and then the other face. That's down about 500, and you see it's swinging around there. And we'll bring this over just until it touches. You see it starting to straighten out. It's straight, and right there is straight, and now it'll kick off. That's the point where we zero it. We'll lift up, come to the other side. Do the same thing. It's getting straight, and boom, there's the kickoff. We're going to hit X, half. We're not going to go quite to half yet. We'll get this one. That number's already in there. So we'll combine. We'll get this face. There we go. Zero that. Go, hit Y, and then half. Now we'll bring this right into the middle. So this is right there. And that is true zero. So that is center of that part. Now we'll pull this out of here, and I have to put a boring head in to make this round. So a boring head is typically used, it can be used for anything, but it's typically used to the inside of a hole. In this case, we'll flip the cutter to the outside, and we'll use it to the outside of this, so almost like a turning operation. Okay, boring head is in here, and you may notice that, yep, that's an end mill. I like using end mills and boring heads. It works, and they're typically always sharp. Unlike boring bars, and they're a lot more rigid, so you can take a little heavier of a cut. They don't deflect, so that's usually my go-to. So first step here, I'm going to get this boring head adjusted so that it is just touching the outside of this part. All right, that's just scrubbing it. We'll spin it around here. Still doesn't hit. So we will turn this, I don't know, half a turn. We'll go a half a turn. Let me grab an Allen wrench for this lock screw, and then we'll make a cut on this thing. All right, so we'll snug this down, and we are going to start this at about 500. Direction is correct. Alright, now I'm going to set my power feed here on its slowest setting, which it is. We will hang on. Look at her go. So I'm going to let this finish and just start adjusting it in. I'll try to throw you in a time lapse. I'm just going to run this up and down until I get my diameter right. All right, so we've got an 11/16 end mill in there. So to get to where we need to be, we will take 0.6875 divided by 2. That gives us 0.34375. We'll move the table over that far. That will get us at least to center line. And what is our piece here is 0.565. So we will zero the digital readout, and we'll go 0.565 divided by 2 is 0.2825. So 0.2825. There we go. Now, helps with spinning the right way. We're probably going to do this in one pass because there's just that little nub to take off. Conventional mill that and then come back the other way, climb mill it for a finish pass. Now I shouldn't have zeroed that when I moved it over. So I shouldn't have zeroed that because now I lost my zero, but I know what my numbers are. So we'll run this back to 0 and zero that. That's 0. Now we'll come back 3, 4, 3, 7. Three, 4, 3. That gets us back to the middle. Let's see here. 3, 4, 3. We'll zero it. Go back. 3, 4, 3. Zero it. Get back. 3, 4, 3 here. Zero it, and then come over. What was that number? See, I should have been writing all this stuff down. All right, that's done. Double check the measurement. are at where we need to be. Now we will take the boring head out, switch over to regular end mill, and cut these flats in here. So we'll come over 0.2825. We'll come back, we'll come past, so we're not climb milling on this one. 2825, there we go. And it looks good. And we'll take that cut. Fine mill finish pass. All right, check measurement here and see what we've got. 0.6 or 0.565. Perfect. That's it. We got to clean the top off of this, and then let's put a chamfer on this. Now that this is done, we got the front and back cut. We'll face the top off. Be very careful with this one. If it grabs, it's likely going to knock it out of there. So we'll take a couple small cuts. Just take it up until that that cross hole is gone in there. Just a whisper left. Perfect. Next, we're going to pull the end mill out of here, put the boring head back in, and we'll throw a chamfer on here and a chamfer on this bottom. So for this, we are just going to use a countersink bit stuck in the boring head, and we'll just get this indexed so the cutting edge is square with the part. Snug it down, and we will be good to go. On this one, we're going to run this in low gear because there's only a single cutting edge. And these tend to not like high RPM, so we will get this back zeroed in. Oh, but I don't know where 0 is anymore. That's right. Because, like an idiot, I didn't mark that down. So what do we do here? Let's see. We'll do a little math, and we'll just get back there. So we had, let's see, what was it? Hold on, let me do some thinking. I'll come back. Back on 0. Now we will move this thing in just a little bit. So we're on the edge. Okay. Low gear. Nope, other way. And we'll come in and just kiss the top of this. There we go. Now we'll come over and, well, we'll have to slide this down a little bit because we've got to move this over so we can get past the OD of the shaft here. Lock this back in. And, all right, so we do have to come down probably a 1/2 inch. Let's see, is that enough? Oh, that's a little too much. There we go. Check alignment. Looks good. Snug this down and give that a little trim. Seems slightly unhappy with that interrupted cut, but we'll take it easy. It'll be all right. Well, the moment of truth. Will it fit on? Oh, it's a little snug. Well, it's a little bit tight. There's a little bit of a burr there on that corner. I mean, I think it'll go. A little tappy tap. Oh, side's just too tight. All right, we got to take another couple thou off of this side here. Is there possible? Oh, there's a little bit of a burr. Let me grab a file and hit that corner and see if that makes it any better. We had a dead sharp edge there on that corner because the chamfer only obviously got the round parts, not the flat. Let's try this. Oh, promising. Something's happening. That's really close. Well, now I got it stuck on there. See if you can wedge it open a little bit. Oh, there we go. Well, that fits better. Let me knock these corners down a little bit. There's a little bit of a burr on this edge. It feels like it wants to go on. We'll leave that open, see what that does. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, it's on. I think that's gonna work. I'd rather it be a little tight than a little bit loose, if you know what I mean. So, next step is going to be to drill the cross hole for the bolt. But we're not going to do that. I need to make sure that this is the right height, that this height is good. Then we can put it back in and just notch that hole in there. So that's it. It's done. There we go. Just a little steering extension. Thanks for following along. Till next time. All right, a little follow-up here. I got this thing off the mill, and the shaft fits nicely now. Didn't really do anything else with it. It just, I don't know, seemed like it fits good now. Slid it out a couple times, loosen it up. Perfect. Just what we wanted. So we wanted 2 inches of extension, and sorry for the terrible camera work, but we got just under 2 inches, which is perfect. We were aiming between 1 3/4 inches and 2 inches. So it'll work. So once we ensure that this is the right length we need, we'll knock that locking slot in there. This job will be done.